think this is Atlas's actual like second trailer loading session. Like he's got a couple before where I just had him come up to the trailer, open the door, and he's still pretty early on. I don't remember exactly which one. So I was just having him back up because I do want to open the door, and I don't want him right there so that it scares him and like comes toward him. I want him to be cool with the door opening. I just didn't want it to scare him. And he seems cool with that. He's not wanting to leave, he's wanting to investigate. So that looks good. But I did have to break it down for Atlas specifically and reinforce him for actually coming up to the trailer with outside of the arena, like not coming up to the back of the trailer, coming up to the front of it, eating off the side of it. Like it was very scary for him. A lot more steps had to happen versus when I was working with Castor. Castor came right up to the back of the trailer, and that was kind of the first step. So it really depends on the horse and how fearful they are of something. So he seemed pretty cool with me opening the door. I'm gonna have a little like rope attached to that fence rail so I can hold that door open so it's not gonna swing shut or swing around and scare him. I see that happen a lot with people and it really scares their horses. So be sure to make sure that door is gonna stay open. But we're just gonna work on him coming up to the trailer, reinforcing him. We're looking in the trailer, wanting to go in it. So, and then we'll just kind of build up and see kind of how far he wants to explore. So at this point in time, like here, he's kind of thinking about taking a step forward. I'm going to reinforce that. But right now, I wasn't that organized and didn't have a lot of experience trailer loading horses with positive reinforcement. I had done so with Penny and with Rhett, my thoroughbreds, but I had played with it, and now I'm doing it with Mustangs, and they have a lot more fear than both of those horses had. So I'm still experimenting for sure with a lot of different stuff. Um, like he's really thinking about going up there. He might be a little frustrated, like he wants to go up there and earn a reinforcer, but he's a little afraid. That's what might be why he's pawing a little bit. But I could have probably used a target or a cone to kind of get him in there. But he is trying to. I think he understands what the point is here, where I want to kind of put his hoof on that trailer. But I think maybe having a little bit more time with him, just maybe eating some hay pellets off the floor of the trailer, hanging around the outside probably would have benefited him as well. And just taking a little bit more time, especially here where he's like, I'd like to go in, but I'm afraid. And I like, he kind of understands that his feet's supposed to be in there, but he's like lifting his feet from the outside and he's like pawing a little bit. He's getting very close to me. Probably using a lot. Yeah, I do have a little bit of a little target there. I need a longer one or a cone, something that he could go away from me as, or like use to go away from me. Um, that would have worked a little bit better. But again, this was my beginning phase. This was from years ago, so I do have to work. I did work on my trailer loading and my processes. So probably at this time I would have been having him probably touch a cone or a longer target, either one of those, and kind of see what he thinks. Some horses are afraid of the cone. They don't want to put their head down. Atlas is probably one of those horses. So I could have played with the cone and see kind of how he took it, and if he did well in the first few steps, then I could have probably progressed with that, but probably just using a longer target would have helped. It's just too short, and then he's too close to me, and then, you know, I'm worried that he's too close, and I can't focus on just trailer loading him. So I'm presenting my target here. He's kind of coming forward. There he's going with that other front foot, so I'm going to click and reinforce that. And again, just like at any other behavior, but specifically here, the timing of your clicks are going to be very important. You want to click when that foot's coming up and it's in the trailer, not when it's coming out of the trailer, or like the timing is very, very important. You don't want it to be on the ground. You don't want it when he's pawing because you don't want to reinforce him like just lifting his foot up and not putting it in. You don't want to reinforce him pawing. So, and you don't want to reinforce him just coming forward and standing at the edge. So that's going to be a key. So I'm using my target, I ask him to come in. There, he's kind of got his foot there. So again, I'm reinforcing, I'm clicking as his foot's in the trailer, and then he can bring it out. That's totally fine. I'm reinforcing him for that click. So, and he already understands that. So I'm gonna let him hang out and then ask him to come forward again. He's still trying to come forward each time, so that's good. He's using each front foot, so that's also good. I don't want him to get stuck with only one. And then he kind of doesn't, like if he gets up there and his feet aren't right to use, like, let's say that left front to get in, he might be worried about that. So I'd like him to just be very comfortable with moving all his feet around the trailer. So now I want him to take a little break. He's kind of hesitant to take a break here, which is a good sign. That's totally fine. I do want him to follow me, but he is just kind of exploring the trailer a little bit. that's totally fine, but I do want to give him a little bit of a mental break. It's also important to reinforce him for leaving the trailer with you, because some horses will not leave. Like I had that problem later on the road. He wanted to just get in the trailer and didn't want to come out. So that's one of those things that most people don't think about, especially if you're using negative reinforcement. But if you've made your trailer very, very positive, you also have to teach your opposite behavior, so coming out of the trailer. But I like to give them a little mental break, let them walk around, go do another exercise even, and then come back. So we went to a little walk, came back, put some food on the trailer floor here. He's, again, as soon as we came back, he wanted to try to get in, and reinforce that. But it's also really important to allow the horse to explore that trailer. So putting food on the ground is a big deal. I want him to explore that, put his foot in there, put his head down, look around, get used to the sound of his hooves like in the trailer and the noises it makes. The dividers rattle, the whole thing kind of makes noise. So it's that those things are really important. Those are just little things that are going to happen when he gets in there, and it's a little bit of a taste of the sounds once the trailer gets going. And obviously he's been in the trailer, but he was run into the trailer when I picked him up, and that's the only way he's been trailered is they run them into the trailer. So I'm sure he's got a little bit of a trauma there, but we'll work through it, figure it out. So these, again, just the beginning steps of getting him in the trailer, and just a couple things I would fix, but overall pretty decent. I'm not going to rush him. I like that he's trying there. I probably should have reinforced that because he's like thinking about going in. He brought his foot in, and then he comes out and he's like, okay, was that good enough? So could have reinforced that. That's the other thing, is trying to find that balance between, okay, asking for a little bit more and not reinforcing enough. So I wanted a little bit more behavior, and I think that's maybe where definitely where a longer target or a cone would have come in. I could have helped show him, I want you to go in a little bit further. But if I kind of just wait for it, he really doesn't have enough motivation to just go in on his own, especially if that fear overrides it. Or if I don't reward what I was rewarding, he doesn't really have that motivation to go in there anymore. So that was another thing. Instead of waiting for more behavior to happen, I should have used the target, the cone or the longer target, to create that behavior. Or I can halfway reinforce, so I can put some food on the floor if he picks up his foot, but if he kind of leans and does a little bit more extra effort, then I can give him a jackpot or something like that. So there he's leaning in, he's picking up that left front, so that looks really nice. And I also want to mix up somewhat of how he's getting the reinforcer. So I can put a pan in there, I can throw it on the floor, I can feed him by hand. I do want to make sure that he's comfortable having his head down in the trailer. Um, Sometimes like they'll be really worried there. He kind of put some weight on the trailer floor there. I probably should have reinforced that. That was a pretty good step there. So I'm missing some of his tries here as well. But a lot of the horses, if they're worried, they want to see their exit strategy, and so they'll want their heads up all the time. That was very good. He went ahead and actually put both hooves, front hooves in the trailer, so that's fantastic. I'm going to give him a big jackpot for that. So I'm just throwing a bunch of hay pellets on the floor. But I do want him to be comfortable bringing his head down, picking it up, and not just always having to look around. So again, being comfortable in the trailer, and that's going to take time and lots of positive association. So trying to not get him in a situation where he feels like trapped or scared or anything like that, especially in the trailer. Obviously horses it's not natural for them to get in the trailer, so you're really working against nature there, so you really have to do lots of positive pairing here. Even using like a higher value reinforcer for the trailer, so maybe using a bit of grain, hay cubes, peppermints, whatever it is that's not making your horse so excited that they're not paying attention, but a higher value for the specific behavior of going into the trailer. So that's another thing with him that I should have done more like earlier on, because he kind of was like, I don't know, like the value wasn't there enough for him, and I should have given him something a bit higher value.